Wow, this makes such a difference.
Yeah, turning it on. You mean these things don't work without electricity?
What?
This is baby's toy. So you were talking about what makes good material is kids? What's some good kid material that you've heard lately?
It's not even...
Kids today.
Well, I think everybody thinks that their kids are funny, and sometimes
Funny looking. Well, I think most of other kids are funny looking. Like, look at that funny kid. Such a dummy.
Really, kids are only funny if you can really catch that in between part where they're not annoying and not, I guess, some other cliche. It's just that kind of fine line in between where I was like, that was stupid. But that was funny too.
Do you laugh at your kids in a funny way? Not like in
Yeah.
not at them, but with them.
Okay, so like my son's 3.5, your nephew.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And we're going through the whole potty training and everything. And for the most part, he's potty trained. But since I've had his sisters, he regresses with each one. Kind of,
Like he doesn't want to because they're not?
he just gets needy and he just gets a lot more like, I don't really want to do this because they're here and
You
fuck them.
Like needy, like, yeah, he needs a toilet.
Yeah. So it's kind of catching him in those moments of like when he's in trouble and then, or when he's just being needy or something. So anyway, we're kind of going back and forth like on him pooping in his pants, basically. And
Without diapers.
yes, without diapers. And we're not talking about accidents, just full on like,
He does it on
gonna
purpose.
poop in kind. I don't even really know.
He looks at you and he's like just giving you that like, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm shitting my pants right now.
We'll find him like behind the couch or something, and we're like,
Behind
Aiden,
the couch.
Aiden, I know you're pooping, and that's the thing. Us as parents is like, don't bullshit me. I know this is happening. Like, I'm on to you, and it's almost like we're
It's like torture. Like,
Yeah.
where's the poop? Tell me where the poop is.
we want to get like a light and be like, I know what you're doing, man. And his blank expression is like, what's up, guys? Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, what poop? What poop?
Yeah,
And,
oh,
it is
this one
seriously,
in my pants right now? Oh, this? I don't know where
He's
that
like,
came from.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't got it. It wasn't. And here's another thing. Okay, so him and Elise are 2 years apart. His younger sister, we have three.
Right.
I'll just tell your audience. I have 3 kids. Okay, a 4-month-old,
Yeah.
an almost 2-year-old, and a 3.5-year-old. He'll be 4 in August. Anyway, so he's been blaming his sister for his poop, which is like,
Oh, this poop in my pants? It's Elise's.
it's Elise's. And like Scott and I, we're parents in our 30s, and we partied, and we've done a lot. And so we're like, dude, if you're going to lie, give us a good one. Like, if you're going to get good at this, if this is the route you're going to take, like, we're going to find out eventually, But let's just have fun with this, okay? Like, don't blame it on your sister, who's, like, in her room, not doing anything. And it'd be another thing too if she had like a poopy diaper and like maybe swap poop or something.
Right.
But it's like she's like
some sort of Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Some kind of mind trick. Like, I don't know.
I'm gonna swap out this sack of shit with another sack of shit, and they'll never know.
We'll see if these bozos figure it out.
I'm clearly smarter than these
Yes.
people. I'm far. And I say it like that. Far. I'm far.
Right?
A fella.
So
I'm fella.
in the meantime, he's having this anonymous poop on the couch that no one is catching on to.
Now, what is like, as a child, I could never understand because I can't remember back to when I was a child, so I could remember like, oh, this was awesome. But I've never thought like, oh yeah, the pooping in the pants, that's better than the toilet, all right.
That's what I
Like, I don't want it in my
Yeah,
pants.
because like I've asked him, I'm like, doesn't that bother you? Like that would
like yeah, just sitting in your pants.
Stinky, especially like depending on what you had last night. Like, doesn't that like?
Yeah,
ugh.
like, but the kid, that's the thing. At that age, you're like,
no.
I don't know why, but I want it. I love it like
I don't
this.
even think that. I think he's just like, I don't see what the big deal is. Like,
Yeah,
I just,
so I sit in my shit, whatever. Like,
whatever, you know, like it's just like another act to him. He doesn't understand like.
But what if he was actually telling the truth and like Elise was this like crazy 2-year-old that's like, I'm gonna sit, I'm gonna shit in his pants, and then they're gonna blame it on him.
The funny thing is too about my daughter. Well, I should show you pictures of things that she does because she will like look over at Aiden and be like. You remember that old Family Guy?
Son of a bitch. Yep.
That old Family Guy with Brian and Stewie.
Yes.
And they say something in front of the reporter because of his son, and he's like,
Mr. Tucker, it seems your son Jake had some vodka at the school dance, and Chris got blamed for it. This whole situation has just turned his whole life upside down face.
in slow motion.
That slow head cock of just like, what the fuck did you just
And
say?
that is my middle child. That is Elise. She's almost 2 in July, and she like literally is like,
Yeah, that's a great joke for the podcast.
I know. Well,
Stand-up comedy, open mics, interviews, and a podcast too. It's just a day in the life for Daryl Williams. Just a day in the life. Whose wife? This Comics Life.
Hello and welcome to This Comics Life. This is me, your host, D. Williams, a.k.a. Daryl Williams, a.k.a. Dumbass, a.k.a. Dude that's hanging out with his twin sister. That's right, guys. I'm hanging out with an actual family member who is not a comedian, but has definitely shown me a lot of humor throughout our lives. I'm talking about my fellow womb-mate
literally.
and sister, Renee Moseley, a.k.a. Renee.
Or nay.
Nay. Yep. So, why Renee Moseley? Is it because he's your husband, and that's why you decided to be Renee Moseley? I always talk about it at the top with my guests about, why did you choose this name? Usually it's because it's comedy related, like a stage name. Clearly not you. But, do you like being a Moseley now that you're instead of a Williams, or have you noticed a difference?
I haven't really noticed much of a difference, other than the fact that I have to spell my last name. Because Williams is
right. Everybody knows Williams.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Is there an E in Williams? No.
Do people ask you how to spell Renee a lot?
No, not so much Renee, but Moseley, because like that fighter, his
Sugar Shane Moseley?
Yep. His name is Moseley.
Mm-hmm.
And mine is Moseley.
And Scott's not related, right?
No. You know what's funny? How often he gets asked, like, just.
Oh, like Sugar Shane Moseley, the huge black man.
Yes.
You're not related to
And
him?
you're like, but didn't people? No one's ever asked you, like, oh, hey, so like, Daryl, like Jason Williams, like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Like
me and
Ricky
Jason,
Williams,
yeah. Like Vanessa Williams? Oh, yeah.
yeah. Like, they're all my family.
Duh.
I mean, just imagine the family reunions.
Can't you
They're
tell?
fucking sweet. It's just 2 white people in a sea full of black people. That'd be awesome.
Well, we did go to the Million Man March together.
That's right, we did. And it was interesting how we went to Washington, D.C. for like a family vacation just out of nowhere. And it just so happened to be, on the same weekend as the Million Man March. And, of course, we were like, the only like white people there as tourists.
And by the way, it was not 1 million people.
Nope.
Maybe 300,000.
Yeah.
Something. Around, give or take. But it was not 1 million.
Mm-hmm. And maybe
Shut
that's
up.
like where that big dick.
What?
Maybe they overinflate all of their measurements. Like, oh, it's a 1 million man march. Oh, it's 8 inches. But when you really whip out the number, measurements, you're like, wait a minute, that's not 8 inches at all. It's more like 4.
Well, maybe they, it was a triumph to get that many people together.
True. Are you a sympathizer for small dick blacks?
What? No.
No, it was a triumph to get out that many blacks.
Or just that many people.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was interesting that, like, let's be honest, our dad is probably a little racist. And when I say a little, I mean that's like being generous.
You ain't from around here, are you, boy?
So, like,
yeah.
I was very much, like, kind of aware of, like, hey, Dad, I don't want to, like, sound weird, but there's a lot of black people around.
Yeah.
Like, what's the deal? But he had no, like, he wasn't like, well, you see, a lot of blacks have had a lot of problems with this country.
You could use that, like, as, like, an educational platform and go, hey.
But he kind of just, like, shrugged it off, like, I don't know, look at this monument. He wasn't, and
well,
yeah, like, we were, like, not really maybe old enough to deal with it, but, like...
No, but at the same time, at the end of the day, you got a Beavis and Butthead, like, shirt. I don't even remember the shirt I got. And I remember he was talking to that one white woman and black woman who were, like, at that table. I don't know what they were promoting or what their volunteerism or whatever. But you don't remember him, like, saying, like, this is cool that everybody's here and everything like that, but why are they doing this? Why is the 1 Million Man March? And the thing is, I could see why that would be, like, a good question, but, like, the way our dad presents people, it's more of, like, a challenge rather than, like, a question. Like, why are we doing this? And as he points to something that...
But that's the thing, like, okay, so he plays this, like, uninformed, like, I wasn't aware that these, like, black people had problems, but then when you tell black people that, they're going to be like, what?
You
like,
had no idea.
You had no idea we've been going through this? Well, now you do. So stop giving us some guff. Because I've been that way, too, where, like, yeah, a lot of times when black people say, like, oh, I've dealt with this, I've dealt with that, as soon as they tell me, I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. But then once they tell me that they've gone through that, it stays in my mind. Now it's like, okay, black people deal with this. It's not like once I've been aware, I'm like, oh, I'm just not going to, like, care, or I'm not going to be that person that's like, what? Huh? Well, they told me once, but I don't remember that. I didn't remember they had bad problems around here. No, it's like, yeah, I didn't know they were having bad problems. They told me they were having bad problems. Now let's fucking help them. Instead of it being like, what? I'm just going to be this. You're going about it all wrong. You know what you need to do? You should write a letter instead. Like, I being a...
Doesn't that dad, like, tell us, like, you need to write a letter? And the thing is, I've taken his advice and it didn't get me anywhere.
Right. Right. I remember, I've told it on the podcast before, but our stepdad talked to us one time about if you want to get a girl to like you, you should just write a letter, to her, Shakespeare style, like, just, give her this long sonnet about how much you love her and how much, that her hair reminds you of the wind and the branches in the trees and stuff, and how her eyes are so brown and whatever. And then she's just kind of totally read this and you're going to be in like Flynn. And when I say in like Flynn, I mean like deep in the pussy. That's what he said. Yeah, he sat me down.
I don't remember it. I don't remember it.
He's
like
like,
that,
here, let me write it for you. Your pussy's so wet.
Okay. Moving on.
It's like this 5-year-old.
Daryl's going into his own like mind right now, just going like, this is hilarious. While everybody's like,
you're weird.
Okay.
No, but that's the thing.
Go on with the story.
So I write her this letter and I give it to her, and then like, you know, obviously nothing happens. Like she did not run into my arms subsequently after, and if anything, she kept 500 feet away from me for the rest of the semester
And notified our 4th grade teacher.
Yeah, pretty much, probably. But that's the thing, like, he didn't first like preface like, well, first find out if she likes you. First find out if she even knows
Get all
you
the facts.
exist. First find out, is she a litigious person? Are her parents lawyers? Find out that. See, all
Even
of
a
these,
paralegal in the family.
yeah, even that. Find out all of these things before you write the letter.
Any type of ramification that may come back to you.
Yeah, talk to a fellow classmate and see what her feelings are about if you were to write this letter.
Get some advice.
Yeah, not mine. But then once you get all those and they still point you to, oh, I should write this letter,
Then maybe go for it.
maybe. Still, that's a maybe.
With caution.
Right. And make the letter not creepy either. Like, don't write in about how much you want to crush the puss. Don't write any of that. Don't write any about, like, how much you've dreamed about her, thought about her naked. Don't write any of that.
Daryl, you were like young though. Like
But that's the thing. I do recall, I don't remember it exactly verbatim what the letter consisted of, but the letter consisted of describing her features and definitely, like, you know, being very into those features. You know, like, your eyes are like crystals and I am a minor. And I can
and so are you.
not that minor, like an
Oh.
actual, like, you know, gem minor.
Oh. See, this is where I'm going.
Like-
I'm like, this is weird. This is
Your eyes are like crystals and I'm a jeweler. Or like
and I'm over here like,
Like-
you're a minor, I'm a minor.
yeah, like your legs are like, you know, like strong and smooth like oak trees, and I'm gonna be a lumberjack. But what works, that's the thing, like, Renee, have there been those boys that have done those things and you've like went like, really? Ew, gross, like, get out of here.
Yes.
But then there's been other boys, obviously, that maybe wrote a letter and it did work, right?
Well, yeah, my husband.
He wrote you a letter?
He didn't write me a letter, actually, because, well, one might call it Facebook stalking, but I saw some of his Facebook posts.
Some say letters, others say
Some
Facebook stalking,
stalking.
catfishing.
You know, you be the judge. No, but like I had seen him on Facebook a little bit, and he had wrote some really great things, and so I got to see some of that. And then when we first started dating, because for an entire month we just talked through Facebook. Mm-hmm. So I met my husband through a ministry called Teen Challenge. Mm-hmm. So, and they were just beautiful, and they were really good, and they were really, and my first Mother's Day, he actually put them all together in an album along with pictures of our kids and everything, and that was his Mother's Day present to me. So actually it can be quite wooing.
That's to a dude that you're into.
Yes, my
Like,
husband's awesomely
That's
attractive.
the thing, like, if you're into this dude, he can make the most littlest, like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
just made a little picture book for you. Here you go. And you're like, oh my God, that's so sweet.
Well,
Oh my God. But then another dude that you're not into is like, yeah, I actually chiseled your, you and your two children out of this marble. And you're like, ew, creeper. Ugh, I don't even like marble.
well, okay, so that being said, his writing is actually really good, and he's very artistic. However, he also plays guitar. Now, that being said, I've dated a lot of guys who play guitar. Mm-hmm. Am I impressed by his guitar skills? Not one. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's great. And he's like, you're like the only one that I've ever dated who's not into like
You're like,
guitar. And I'm like, yeah, maybe if you weren't the 18th person I've dated who's into guitar, who's played a guitar, I'm like, I'm sorry, but,
you only know 5 chords to Stairway. What the fuck?
Just, oh, really? I just...
Awesome.
Do you know a Jimmy Buffett song? Because I've never heard it. I don't know it. Mark, can you play Margaritaville? Holy cow, that's it.
He's like, fuck the writing letters. Hey, baby, have you heard Cheeseburger in Paradise? 2, 3, 4. And then you're like, my stars. Mercy.
Wet my panties. I just...
Yeah. I do believe I'm getting the vapors.
So, even his day, he's kind of like, I don't even want to play it. You're not even interested.
Yeah, you were a fan.
No, honey, I really like it. Shut up. And I do. I try to be like, no, it's really good because he is. But he's like, I don't even care. I don't care about you. Don't patronize me.
So I said you weren't as good as Jimmy Buffett once.
Whatever, okay? I just said, okay, it's not Soundgarden, but...
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
It is something that is like very true to a lot of comedians is the kid aspect. There's whole specials around like, so I had, a kid and here's some crazy kid stories.
Well, Daryl, you actually get a nice good feel of it because you don't have kids.
Right.
But you're able to listen to these stories. It's just like Jim Gaffigan when he's like, you know what it's like to have 4 kids. Well, do you know what it's like to have 3 kids under 4? It's like you're drowning, and somebody hands you a baby. That's exactly what it's like.
Yeah. I, myself, not having any kids, I hear a lot of kid jokes, but I can still laugh at the kid jokes because I'm like, oh, yeah, that if I had a kid, I could see that being very relatable. But, if you make jokes about how great it is to not have kids, you're going to have everybody that has kids go like, fuck this guy, I don't give a shit about whatever he says. You have to be, endearing about, almost making a joke about, my life would be a lot better if I did have kids. I keep sleeping in all the time. I miss a lot of, TV.
I had the opportunity, and I have the opportunity to have random sex with people.
Yeah, it's
constantly.
horrible. And they've never gotten pregnant.
Yeah.
I've never I've raw dogged it all every single time, and they just never get pregnant. What the fuck? I think I'm cursed. I think I'm cursed with this huge dick, and not the ability to have kids. What the hell is that about?
I think that's every man's secret. If you had 3 wishes.
Yes, one would be to be sterile.
Yeah. Just naturally sterile.
Naturally.
Yeah, because you wouldn't want to bring it on yourself because you want women to be like, oh.
No, I wouldn't want
so
to
you can't
become.
Have them.
I wouldn't want to become sterile.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to have a vasectomy
accident.
because then it's what? But you just want to naturally be born into sterilization and then be like, so I can't. I wanted them.
Yeah,
I did.
But just look, I don't have any balls.
But I just don't.
I was born without nuts.
I shoot blanks, but I got this huge cock. Luck.
It went all in. It's just dick, no balls.
That it. I just got this big dick and no sperm.
That's every guy's fantasy, of course.
Wish number 1.
What's their second and third wish?
I don't even need a third.
Yeah,
a Coke and a Pepsi.
Yeah. Because I don't choose my life. Yes. I let my life choose me. Do you relate to a lot of comedians, or do you feel like you could ever be a comedian?
I think so. Well, naturally, because I really like Jim Gaffigan because obviously he's got like 5 kids.
Hot Pockets.
Yes. Although he does talk a lot about food. And
It's more about food than kids, but it is a lot about kids too.
Because, there's pressure to have fun on your vacation, right? But at Disney, it's like a desperation. You see it on the faces of parents. They're like, this was an enormous mistake. I hope you're having fun. It was either this or send you to college.
And then even Brian Regan talks about his kids, about like cool things you get to say because you have kids.
Right. Like what?
Like his son that one time was like, hey, buddy, don't balance your juice box on your chest while you're walking to the kitchen or something like that. And he's like, when would I ever get to say that? And it's just like me and my son. It's just like, hey, buddy, so like before you're done pooping, don't like poop in your pants and then like wipe yourself with your sister's toys because she's probably not going to like that later.
Oh, what, Mom? She doesn't like poop on her Cabbage Patch dolls?
No. I mean, I don't know. She might, but we're not going to allow it because CPS would get involved.
Is that a lot of like reasons of your parenting skills? Is like
would CPS get involved if we did this? Or if we didn't do this? Sometimes.
Yeah, like a lot of my decisions come in the form of, would I get in trouble if this happened?
Would there be legal repercussions?
Yeah. Would the news media come onto my porch? What?
That's my morale.
I'm not saying like you're gonna like Mary Kay or Letourneau these kids, but like, have you ever thought about like, what if I just dunked their head in the water a little too long or something?
No, I don't think that. I more or less like want to ignore them.
Awesome now.
Like,
it's cool, guys. Don't worry, she's not gonna kill her kids. You can all rest easy.
I think most often I find myself, if this is any part of neglect, I like walk into a room and I'll see chaos and I'll just walk out like it didn't happen. Just like,
you just see something. Like, what would you see?
I'm like, just not going to pretend this is
like, Aiden's just like beating Elise with like a hobby horse. It's just a hobby horse head, and you just keep hearing the like, wee, the neighing. And instead of going like, hey, don't hit your sister with that hobby horse, you're just like, oh well.
No, it's like when okay, so we have chickens now. We have 2 chickens.
Yes, okay.
Because we live in Texas.
That's what you call your children, your 4 and 5.
No. But like there are times that I go out like side to check on my children and stuff, and they're either chasing the chickens or something, or chasing like a feral cat, or our neighbor has a donkey, and his donkey oftentimes gets into our yard.
You might want to tell people where you live. They're going to be like, where is this, Fountain Valley? Or
we live in Springtown, Texas.
That makes more sense. Springtown.
Yes, Springtown, Texas.
I picture now a lot of chickens and donkeys.
Yes. Oh, and there's a Saks Fifth right across the street. What are you talking about? No, yeah. So anyway, so yes, and one would think like, oh gosh, like my children being all, what if something happens? What if something bites them? What if something kicks them? That donkey that gets in the yard? And I'm like, nope, let them do it. If they can catch, that feral cat, I will be impressed. I will tip my hat to you, Aiden. If you can get behind that donkey's rear end and not get kicked after I just told you, like, if you think that no, Mom, I'm the donkey whisperer. By all means, if that's, have at it. I mean, far be it for me to deny you.
And that was the last we heard of Aiden.
And that's when I walk away. I'm like, all right.
He got.
I'm gonna go vacuum.
Yep. He got killed in a horrible donkey accident. That's how my grandpa went. I feel like we made each other laugh a lot, like as kids. Do you feel like there was a lot of joy in the house? The same amount of joy that you have in your house now?
Well, yes, we did. I mean, I think we did a lot of fun things. I mean, this is where I see Elise and Aiden, you know, he's kind of got a love-hate relationship, or they both do, really, because in one aspect, you know, there's a lot of jealousy and stuff, but then in another aspect, they play together and they have companions and stuff. And so, you know, when you have a sibling, especially like us being twins, you have like an immediate friend. You have somebody to play a board game with. You have like an instant like, hey, let's go do this because this would be a lot more fun. And you could help me.
Right.
Whatever. And I see that happening between them because they are 2 years and like 2 weeks apart. So that's really cool. So I think just seeing your kids, you know, whenever something exciting happens or something like that, they're both really into it. It's like, yeah, let's go see whatever, you know. And so I think that's really cool.
Let's go stick this chicken in this donkey's butt.
Yes. Exactly. Like they both, you know, like they both have that kind of just, you know, and he gets her excited and vice versa. And so.
And now you said too that he's super serious. Now he'll like sit you down and have heart to hearts with you.
Yes. When Scott, my husband, walks through the door after a couple minutes, he's like, "So, Dad, how's your day? How'd your day go?" And Scott's like, "It went pretty well, buddy." And that's the thing too, because my husband's like, should I really tell him how my day was because he's asking, or should I just kind of like you know, kind of romper room it, like, so I played with circles and triangles and a drill. And
yeah, like, what do you want to do? Like, tell your kid, like, it was great, son.
Yeah.
I was in attics all day. Customer told me to fuck off. It was magical. Or do you have to tell him, like, it was all right?
Which is usually the route that he goes because he doesn't want to, you know, mislead him in the family business.
Right. Like, you can't sit him down and go like, well, a piece of me died today, son. It's just one more piece, and after enough pieces, I will no longer cease to exist. So hopefully you have a good 401k. What's a 401k, son? Let me show you what this show you what this thing is called Prudential.
No, we haven't gone down that route.
A lot of women feel like, yeah, you should just be handed a free abortion, just like you know, you should be handed coupons to Trader Joe's.
Hi guys.
I mean, I see both sides.
I do. I mean, I do too, because
it's really about like, so you're not fighting over like, should women be able to have an abortion or not? It's who should pay for it.
Yeah, you know, and that's the thing. It's just like, look, you know,
which is a legitimate concern on both sides. Like, I can understand why the government doesn't want to flip the bill.
Sure.
And I can understand.
Well, taxpayers don't want to flip the bill.
Right. Especially when it's like, I'm not having an abortion. I'm not doing it.
Why are we paying for this?
Yeah, why do I have to pay for this?
But
there are a lot of services that you don't directly use, but are serving a greater good.
Well, for instance, like, if you don't directly use Medicaid or WIC or whatever, I still want those people to be taken care of.
You know, I don't own a car and I don't drive a car.
Yeah, so I still want, but
I want roads and I want
and public transportation. Right. I don't personally take public transportation. I live in Texas, but like, I believe we should have it. Right. And for what it's worth, I believe that we should have abortion, and I believe that women have rights to have abortions, because I believe, like, if I was in a position, and I have been in positions, I haven't had an abortion, but I mean, I've been in situations where it would have not been good.
Right.
And you can't take those rights away because, you know, not only is it not America's founded on, which is freedom, but also, I mean, people are just going to have illegal abortions. So then we're opening a whole nother dark door to stop a problem that's going to continue to be a problem. So I'm not saying we should take it away, but I thought it was a little hysterical or just a little when I see these women on, you know, these newscasts and Facebook, and I understand it's Facebook and stuff, and they don't even know why they're walking, and they're in California, and they're like, women's rights, blah, blah, yeah, and it's just like...
Yeah, I was saying the same thing, and
like,
obviously
I'm a woman
I didn't want to yell
I
it.
get it, and I'm like, I am, but please, you're really embarrassing.
This is
yourself.
why you're my sister, Renee. This is why we have like a kindred spirit, is because I was saying the exact same thing earlier, and of course I couldn't yell it as loud because I'm an evil white male,
right?
And I don't have those opinions, or if I do, it's, you know, that's what makes me the devil even more. But that's the thing. Like, I was asking to myself, like, how many girls think that this is a farmer's market rather than a protest?
And that we're just, I thought it was very weird, or I just thought that there wasn't a whole lot of purpose towards it. And I thought, I don't know.
Or they're like hoping that their funny poster that they made, you know, went viral.
Yeah, exactly. And I just thought it was very kind of sloppy almost, and just very like.
And afterwards, you know, is it all good now? Like, are we all like, women is like, just suddenly women just get
like, okay,
$50,000 a year, and it's like, all right, we've done our part. I marched yesterday, and I guess I can move on to something else.
It was almost kind of like, you remember, like, okay, like in the 60s when women burned their bras, and they thought it was just so, you know.
Which I've heard a lot of people saying that they didn't actually do that.
No, they didn't. And it was a women's protest. And when you look now, Gloria Steinem, I love Gloria Steinem. She's in her 80s now, and I've listened to some of her podcasts. And I've like listened. She's been on NPR, but she's also been on just the circuit and stuff like that. And she had just recently wrote a book, and I was listening to her talk about the book and everything. And this woman, like, has been a pioneer. And I don't mean like pioneer like what's his face that got Women of the Year last year, Kardashian. Oh, Bruce Jenner.
Well, the real truth is that before just a few months ago, I had never met anybody else who was trans, who was like me. I had never met a trans person, never.
Right.
No. I mean, this woman really paid her dues, you know, and really saw adversity at its finest. And, like, I mean, that's the type of woman that I'm like, whew. And the thing is, too, is I actually agree with her a lot, but I see also the generation, and I think that a lot of women, as a woman, I think that you should always be willing to speak your mind. Don't ever feel like what you say is not important, because it is. Just the tiniest voice it's like a domino effect. And so I really believe in what she stands for. But I am a married woman, and I did have children, and there's a lot of things that I did differently than she did, you know. And I don't know. Where was I going with this? Anyway.
Gloria Steinem's awesome.
I really do. I love her. Because she is also the one that said, the truth will set you free, but it'll piss you off first. And it will. And those are, you know, so you have to, like, she definitely was a pioneer. And that's who, when I think of, like, burning your bras, or, you know, if you're going to burn your bra, or if you're going to do something, anything that's supposed to influence people, do it appropriately, and do it with grace, and do it with some type of intelligence, because otherwise you are just going to be that dumb person on Twitter talking nonsense. And you don't even have to be female. You could be just, I mean, you could be transgender, you could be whoever, and nothing you say.
A lot of people are feeling that that's enough, though, is that, like, I can be this idiot, but as long as I make stupid points online, I'm making a difference, because I'm making these dumb points online.
Getting people to agree with you isn't making a difference. In fact, quite the contrary. If you can get enough people to disagree with you, you'll probably make more of an impact.
Well, you'll definitely get more people being outraged.
Yes. And if you can create that type of attention, and I don't mean through, like, if the Democratic Party really wanted to make an impact on Trump, they would probably be kind and they would do everything with a grain of salt and with sugar on top.
Right. Trying to be the better person.
Yes, exactly. If you really wanted to, make a difference and grind his gears. But all they're doing is just, that's not fair, and I hate him, and I'm I'm just gonna do a poster with a severed head, and that's gonna just, it's like, oh, okay, that's really winning your argument. Like,
so you're not a Kathy Griffin fan?
I love Kathy Griffin, but I don't think what she did anything but draw negative attention to her. I mean, and him, but he's got plenty of it. I don't think what she did anything. I think it actually drew more attention to herself.
Which is ultimately probably every celebrity's goal.
Yeah, I think it was very self-motivated. And, also Kathy Griffin is the type of person who she's just looking for headlines. She talks about celebrities. This is just more material for her. This might have nothing to do with, she said she wanted to start a conversation.
Right.
Really?
That's fine. Everything that I do online is to start a dialogue.
Conversation.
Yeah.
I want to start a conversation.
I want to start a dialogue.
I just want to, like, I mean, I don't know, like, if you think it's ridiculous, chances are
if Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone and somebody asked him, like, why did you invent this machine? And he said, I just want to start a conversation. I would be like, let's burn this shit. Fuck him.
And actually, do you want to know something interesting? All you have to do is look this up on Drunk History. That Alexander Graham Bell did not, in fact, build the telephone. It was actually some other guy.
Right.
That, because Bell at the time, he was kind of like moving up in the world. He was networking. People knew who he was and everything like that. But there was this other like peon type of person that had came to him and said, hey, between electricity.
You can talk through this telephone line.
Yes, exactly. And he gave him some blueprints and everything like that. And Bell was like, you're dumb. We don't need this.
Right.
Like, this is stupid. Right?
Right.
So anyway, so this other guy was like, okay, fine. Right. So he goes up and he gets some backing towards other people and everything. And he actually starts to get some type of, he starts to start a conversation. He gets people kind of interested and going like, wow, does this work and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then Bell turned around and was like, what? Wait a minute. That's my idea and everything. Mm-hmm. Just go into Drunk History or go under Alexander Bell. Get all your information off
when
Drunk History.
When are they going to start showing Drunk History in class?
I love Drunk History. I do, because it gives you just like cliff notes and then it reenacts it.
Yes.
And stuff like that. And so anyway, basically the plans were stolen. Alexander Graham or whatever, he really, and the thing is he did have a lot of notoriety. He was a scientist, but he basically stole the plans and said, I'm going to market this, and he was the one that got the credit.
Like every story is about like more like, oh yeah, the person that you think invented this just stole it from somebody else first.
Basically.
Like whoever has the patent is the shithead.
Yes, and that's what happened. It was basically a patent, and he was the one that was able to get the patent and off of somebody else's plans. Mm-hmm. So.
And now it's made us assholes ever since.
Well, it's what founded America, Daryl.
The telephone?
Well, just basically people stealing shit from other people.
That's what. Yeah.
That's how America was started.
We built America by stealing other people's shit.
Chris Columbus came in and said, "Nope,
that's my shit now.
This is my land, not yours. We'll just pay you some, royalties later on throughout life."
Yeah. Well, he wasn't American, but he was still like, I guess, a shithead.
Well, he was shitting since he was like a failure because like 3 of his excursions prior to finding America had all failed.
Nice. Well, that's even more American is, through adversity, he still came out on top. That's American.
Or you could just steal it.
Yeah.
We could say it's adversity and he climbed the,
Mm-hmm. He was a fuck up and then just basically fell upwards. I like that idea.
Well, again, Daryl, that's why we're all here today.
Yeah. God bless America.
God bless America.
That's what I always feel like if that would be my parenting style is like, you know, Rick Moranis in Parenthood where he would just sit her down and like, you know, tell her about like, you know, this is a Roth IRA. You want to set these up early in your investing. And she's like, I'm 4. You know, trying to treat kids like adults from a very early age.
That's the thing. If you see the kids that have been treated as adults, hence like celebrity, like look at celebrity kids.
And I'm not like saying like, oh yeah, he can have some Cuddy Sark. He's 4. I'm talking about like, I'm not gonna like, you know, lie to him and say Santa Claus exists.
Yeah,
and teach him about death like really early.
Well, no. We're going to talk about gang raping, son.
Yeah, because they need to know
because
about
they need
that.
to know. We can't live in a bubble.
No, no. Can't live in this Santa Claus living non-raping bubble. But when it is a little interesting though how much we lie to kids because we're feeling like we're protecting them.
But it's
then
not even protection because, like, I think one of the reasons why we lie to our kids is because you want to let them be kids for a minute.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, so being a kid is just growing up around a bunch of lies. Like, that's being a kid. Like,
no,
you don't know what's the truth and what's not. That's
like,
what being a kid's like.
If I knew Aiden was going to be Alex P. Keaton.
Monopoly? Are you kidding me? I'd love a game.
I thought you had a lot of work to do.
Well, Dad, I was thinking, you know, term papers and exams come and go, but the family unit is the one true constant in life. The precious hours spent in the familiar abode with loved ones playing a heartwarming game such as this are what make memories that one can treasure for all eternity.
When did all that occur to you?
As I was coming down the stairs.
You know,
Yes.
like, if I knew, I probably wouldn't be worried about it. I'd be like, no, he's going to be Alex P. Keaton. He's going to, like, he's going to want to be, like, in the Republican Party and, like, you know, by the time he's 16. And he's going to be like, you know what? Childhood was a waste. What we really need to be focusing on is tax exemptions. And
For these children.
yes. Like, you know, suits are back in. In
Right.
fact, I personally
Shit in my suit all the time.
exactly. Those diaper companies are making millions, billions. It's $1 trillion corporation. You know what? You can just do it in our underwear. That's what I say. I say it's just hangs. You know what? It doesn't matter.
And it doesn't even feel bad sitting in it. Come on, people. We're living in some huge carbon footprint. This is a less carbon footprint. It's a shit footprint.
So, like, so if I knew what my kids were going to be like, and but then I lied, or I guess you could call it lying, you know, but at the same time, I'm trying to save them also from just like thinking that the world is dark. And
Well, I think it's also easier to teach kids, like, you know, here's how to live your life and here's not. But it has to be through magic. You know, it can't just be like, hey, don't go in the woods or a bear will eat you. It has to be a magical bear that, like, you know, lures you into the woods and with some sort of accordion.
Isn't that why we have movies and stuff like that? It's
That's what
because
I mean.
it's escapism. It's just some way to
And you can learn,
just
like,
kind of,
I don't want to be a shithead because Harry Potter wasn't a shithead.
right.
You know, but it's easier to tell it through that story instead of just going, hey, Billy, don't be a shithead.
Well, because Aiden would be like, what's a shithead? Like,
Right.
I'm like, well, let me give you some examples.
Right. Right. Don't be a Draco Malfoy. Don't be a Malfoy.
What? Huh? okay, I'm going to go be SpongeBob really quick.
Yeah, don't be, what's his name? Squidward. Don't be a Squidward.
And that's the thing you also learn as like a parent is that like even if you try to sit them down and like talk to them like say about birth or like where they came from or something like that.
And then you just like drop trout like you came from this pussy.
Then I would forever scar my child.
Right?
It'd be
That's super real. Like that's sometimes like where a little magic is better than just showing them my vagina.
About unicorns and flying donkeys.
Right. The stork is easier.
It's a lot easier. Pixar did it way better.
I would rather show a Pixar picture than my vagina.
Yes. To my 3-year-old son.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure he'd actually rather watch it through Pixar.
Yeah.
if choice being given.
Pixar should do that, like the miracle of birth presented by Pixar. You just see like the sperm and the egg and the afterbirth, everything. But it's all like, cute and cuddly.
Well, you remember? Okay, so like going back to family memories. Do you remember when Mom showed us that like movie?
Yes.
The Miracle of Life.
That's what I'm talking about.
I think we were probably like 11, 5th grade,
Yes.
somewhere in there. And we both watched it, and you can get it at any library.
Yeah, for free.
Yeah.
Or just
or
online
you probably
now.
just download it now.
Yeah.
Just, and it's called The Miracle of Life.
From these one-celled organisms evolved all life on Earth. And the foundation of life, the cell, has endured unchanged since the first tiny organisms swam in the cradle of life, the sea. Every living being is made up of cells, the basic units of life on Earth.
And I think we were both like, that's exactly, just silence.
Yeah.
Like just.
No, it was pretty graphic. Like you didn't see like the full on like sex, but
You just saw a baby being born.
Yeah.
And the thing is, too, Mom walked out of the room and was just like, here you go. I'm just going to leave. It's like watching Requiem for a Dream on acid by yourself. Like, just like, nothing. Just like, ooh. Or watching the news on acid.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Requiem for a Dream is definitely the sequel to Miracle of Life.
Yeah, I mean, when you're 11 and your mom walks out of the room and you're just sitting there with your brother and
Wait,
you're like,
yeah, exactly.
so.
This ain't Saved by the Bell.
Or the Cosby Show.
Yeah. It might have been the Cosby. This might have been like, yeah. Who knows? We don't know.
Speaking of, though, I'll go segue to Cosby. So I hear that's a closed case. Kind of like the Miracle of Life.
Right. What's this Cosby done? What'd you hear, Renee?
Well, no, I haven't really. Well, see, in Texas, and when you're bogged down by kids, you don't really get to know what's going on in the rest of the world.
You don't want to know about that.
Yeah, well, I guess his wife was like there with him and stuff like that. But what the jury couldn't figure out it wasn't a hung jury. Mm-hmm. So do they have to be okay? I've never served on a juror. Like I've never been a juror. So what is it? Does it have to be unanimous or is it just majority?
No, usually, it has to be unanimous.
Okay, so so they're still deliberating,
Right.
Yeah.
And if there's not a consensus, then it's called a hung jury, and then it just it's not. He's innocent. He's just basically gonna have to do it again.
Oh,
a retrial.
well, because I guess like in so many words. His attorneys were trying to say, like, okay, he had a relationship with this girl. It wasn't really right. But cheating doesn't make you a criminal.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Drugging women does, though.
Yes, that does. Yes. And, like, what's her name said that he gave her 3 blue pills or something like that. And
I think it's more egregious of the sweaters that he probably wore in front of him. Like, that actually got you laid? Oh, well, the drugs, too. But, like... I just feel like one person could have came up to him at some point and went
I'm
like,
surprised,
really?
like, the attorneys
That's
aren't
harder.
like blue pills. That was melatonin.
What if they were just like placebos?
Yeah, exactly. I don't understand why they're not getting more creative. This is all hypothetical. Oh, 3 blue pills?
You know what those are? They're Betty Rubbles.
Yeah, pretty much.
Miss, do you recall a face on these pills?
She was, well, and not only that, it was like she could have been taking her own drugs. Because it was the 70s.
I mean, Renee, you need to be on the defense team. And also, I think you're the only woman that's like, oh, let him hear him out, guys. Like, I want to hear what Cosby's got to say.
Well, I'm just saying. Because, again, I was a woman in my 20s and stuff like that. There were many, well, in my 30s. I love Jesus now. So.
Oh, so you're saying we can forgive Cosby?
Well, I'm just saying that when I was a girl in my 20s, it was not uncommon for me before I went out to do a couple shots, smoke a bowl, what have you.
Right.
Okay. So the fact that this girl was just, she's just going over to Bill Cosby's house to just look at some, tile and look at his sweaters.
Going over lines.
Yeah, exactly.
Not lines of coke, but lines, in a movie. Like, I'm going to, you see, you need to talk about, feeling it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know. Maybe she didn't. I mean, who's to say she didn't have a couple glasses of wine? Who's to say she didn't take a little hydro,
right?
Or whatever? I'm just saying. Did anybody? Nobody really knows.
But it is odd, though. It's not just one girl. It's 50 girls.
Which obviously makes him guilty because
do you mean...
it'd be really hard to get 30 girlfriends together and go hey, we gotta see how this goes.
But do you think there is the ability to have women hear oh, this guy, did this to 4 women and he hung out with me, but nothing happened. But since he hung out with me and there's already 4 others, maybe I could be the 5th just because, I got to jump on this train while it's getting good.
If there's money involved?
Of course there's money involved.
Yeah, so, because, I mean, what I do know is I've seen money change a lot of people.
Right.
And it's usually based on inheritance.
Into better
and stuff.
people.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So, I mean, it'll really, if hey, you could possibly get 50 grand off of this and stuff. Mm-hmm. And not to say that it didn't happen.
Right.
But everybody has a motive.
Right.
Everybody has, and maybe their motive is, to the better good or, whatever.
I want a piece of that Jell-O money.
And then there's also and then there's also that motive. So you have to understand, everybody kind of does something for a reason.
Well, I always feel especially now in a lot of these, any type of social issue, it's almost are you doing this because you're really genuinely feeling this? Or is it because people are listening and you have now this platform to go, yes, deep down, deep nobody gave a shit about how offended you were about
Well, here's my from somebody who I don't know has dated and what have you. I won't go into my background, but it's interesting to me that if these women's really all of these women really truly felt victimized and everything, how come they didn't speak earlier? And have they lived the last 30 years a victim and now that's why they're speaking out? It's wow, you haven't gone to therapy. You have remained a victim for this long. And chances are you coming out and seeking repercussion, if you've lived this long as a victim, this is not going to be your answer. You will get justice, I mean, if that's what you're looking for. But ultimately, the statute of limitations has, made a lot of these girls not even able to get on the stand. So really they're only trying one case.
Right.
So.
And yeah. Okay, so you get justice. Are you now going to suddenly start living your life?
Yeah, now you're going to live your life now that you sought that justice? Because the people that have wronged me and the things that I've been through, I've just naturally forgiven them so I can personally move forward.
Right.
It's not about money. It's not about any of that. I know Bill Cosby's a very powerful man, so, but it really kind of makes you wonder, this is just all screwed up in so many ways.
And did you hear that Rudy was defending me too?
So I'm not defending like Bill Cosby, nor am I defending rapists and murderers or anything like that. But I am a woman, and I do look at other women going through this, and I do think to myself, like, have you carried this long, and now this is what you're wanting, or are you going along with the program, or is there possibly a paycheck at the end of the yellow brick road?
Right,
you know?
right. Were you gonna say the yellow dick road?
The yellow dick road, because that's what it really is about.
Cosby really has an Asian penis.
So again, and I'm not excusing his behavior. Chances are he really did do these things.
Right.
You know.
But it is interesting.
It is interesting that
once you feel like, there is a monetary thing to gain, how quickly you are to be like, yep, he did it.
You know, and maybe these girls, were young and felt outspoken and stuff. And I think that is why a lot of...
Right, who would believe them?
Well, I think there's a lot of perpetrators. Like, I know that being 35... Even just 10 years ago, being 25, there was a lot of like, even if I did say something or whatever, what would it really, you know what I mean? So, but again, I do have to wonder, like, is there something like that? I mean, are you really looking for a paycheck? Or like sister, friend, okay, I get it. I know your pain and everything, but really, are you really looking for something?
Really? Did Bill Cosby do a little...
I mean, he's going to pay for your college education. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's supposedly, so... Seemed like he was kind of paying for the lock.
It's like... He maybe didn't have to drug any of them because, like, how many of those girls would have just sucked his dick sober?
True.
Maybe.
True.
Maybe not all of them,
well,
but
look at
still
Clinton,
a couple.
Look at Clinton and Lewinsky. When you were under 25 and you were around powerful men and stuff like that, I mean, I don't...
Taking this puff of my cigar.
Yeah, exactly. These men are there
I'll let you make handbags later.
And if you're that creeped out, then why did you go there in the first place? Like, why are you hanging out with a 50-year-old man? Oh, because I just thought we were going to play, Monopoly. Really? Really?
I like that beret. You're like the only chick that wears a beret.
Exactly.
Even in the 90s.
I mean, these women weren't minors. They were...
interns.
Adults. I mean, if you've ever had a guy hit on you, whether he's 21 or whether he's Bill Cosby 51.
Right.
I don't understand how,
or the president.
Yeah, or the president. I mean, that's not my ball game, but if I was standing next to the president right now and he flirted with me or he made a pass at me,
you'd suck his dick.
No. No. But I wouldn't be so shocked. I wouldn't be this well, I never. Stars and garters. I would.
I do declare.
I just don't know how you call yourself a man. I just...
You would just laugh and then...
Stupid. I'd just be like, I'm good.
So, Monica, you want to suck this dick? I'm good.
Well, see, this is I'm 35. At 21, I don't know. I probably would have.
There you go. You heard it first, guys. My sister would suck the president's dick if asked.
If asked 14 years ago.
At 21.
At 21.
Yes.
The consensus is most likely. You really can't say 100%, but most likely.
Hey, I'm not going to lie. If it was switched around and it was Hillary, I'd probably do the same.
Yeah, if Hillary said, you need to eat my pussy.
I would.
You're the intern.
Yep, I'd dust it off.
21.
I'd give it a good thorough cleaning and then just head down south.
Well, one thing I will say, and again, I don't know, there might be women listening to this, but
I hope so.
If you really just dig deep down and remember how you were when you were 20, 21, or maybe you're 20, 21 now, you know, think about it. If a powerful man or whatever, offered you
his dick,
or just offered you some attention and just said, hey, so you want to give me some head and everything? You're in the back of your mind thinking, okay, this can go down several ways. I could suck the president's dick and have a lifelong story. Okay. That's just the top of it.
Yeah.
Just one night, and that, hey, I sucked Bill Clinton's dick. Nobody's going to believe, whatever. But I did it. This may actually help your career because let's just say you don't say a word to anybody, but you know he might always give you a recommendation because you could always say, Bill.
But that would be then quid pro quo, Renee,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that is not HR approved.
Exactly. Because I know so many girls who suck the manager's dick, slept their way to the middle
And what-
or anything.
you wanna
So we're
say-
talking about the President of the United States.
Do you still know these girls?
No, I don't.
Oh, man.
I don't.
Can I tell them I'm a manager?
So
I run my own podcast,
I know
ladies.
girls who have done less for less.
Right,
Okay?
right.
So,
Well, isn't that ultimately like what economics teaches us is that there's no such thing as a free lunch.
well, and that's just sociology. You know what I mean? Like women, especially look at. I've actually never seen pictures of the women that Bill Cosby, the girls who are basically prosecuting him or telling this, but I'm sure they were all very attractive, very good-looking girls.
Let's hope so.
Yes, right. So
You're gonna drug uggos?
exactly, and you. I want the fatties. Bring them on down.
That's even worse.
If they're not $1.70, I don't even want to live.
I want them to look like Jell-O pudding, like they're smuggling it.
C-section scars all the way. Gotta have at least 2.
One on each side, and on the back side too. 'Cause
I want tickle bitties, front and back.
no.
Okay.
So Renee, you're one of the only girls that will admit that feminine wiles gets you places in this world.
Yeah, and the
Maybe
thing
not
is, too-
necessarily like, okay, I'm gonna go sleep with the boss.
Yeah,
But it is like, at least I'm gonna sleep with my husband so he can mow the lawn.
Yeah.
No matter
see-
what, it comes like the pussy has power.
Well, yes, it does. In fact, and you will always use that to your advantage. Like,
I want to know, is there a way that guys can use it? Like, I want to meet those like high price bosses that are like, you need to eat my puss right now, or I'm not giving
what
you
I suggest everybody, and again, because I'm a Jesus woman now. I am. I truly am. I talk.
This is all in the past.
This is.
I used the pussy as power before, but now I found
You know
Jesus.
what, though?
and-
If you know what, I will say one thing, ladies, and I think any woman knows this. It's not even something. So I don't see why people are shocked by this. But yes, you give your husband head on a consistent basis. Not only is he happy, but those dishes. Why do you think I'm out here in California, Daryl? Why do you think my husband was like, "Have fun, babe. You just have fun."
You sucked his dick big, and then it was like, "Hey, guy, I'm going out for 2 days." He's like,
Oh,
"Whatever, I don't
yeah.
care,
No,
what?
I
Huh?
did
What?"
it good, and there was an encore. I took care of my man after.
All right. I don't want to know details,
Anyway,
but
point is, look what you can have. Like, no.
right, ladies, you can have a 2-day vacation anytime you want. just you know what to
Say
do.
you're visiting family.
No, I'll admit that's the thing.
You don't
Obviously
go in
now,
that telling your husband that.
No.
I mean, it's just.
but they know. Like,
And the thing, my husband is more than happy.
Yeah.
He's just like, here's a credit card. Like,
he's thinking the other side of it,
He's
where it's like,
on the-
"Hey guys, all I do is do the dishes. She sucks my dick.
you
That's
know,
all she does."
I take care of the kids. I hand her a credit card for some, a flight. And look,
Like, oh, so wait, what you're saying is, do shit around the house. And she'll want you.
she'll
wanna-
want to do it. Okay.
No, like, I get it. I've been in more relationships where it's like, he does the dishes, and I don't even suck his dick. He's an idiot. I don't know why he doesn't ask for it. He just does it.
Because you're dealing with Democratic women. Because any liberal Republican...
Yeah, every girl around her is like, you're living the dream. He cleans the house and he doesn't want sex from you? Whoa. How'd you luck out?
Well, Daryl, the first problem is that you gotta just kind of be upfront with them, especially at this stage in the game, and go, do you like sex? Like, by yourself?
Do you like sex? Do you like cats? Do you like them not together?
Yes, exactly. Like, if you go so long, like, what's your shelf life? Like,
What's your pussy life?
Like, how long can you go without it before it starts to bother you?
Or does it ever bother you?
Does it ever bother you? Oh, I can go.
But is this first date convo?
Yeah.
Can you be like, so I know we're about to get dessert, but what's your pussy game like? Not for tonight. Like, I'm not trying to like say tonight, but when I am crushing the puss, how long is that going to be? Mm-hmm. And am I going to have to do a lot of dishes in order to get that said puss?
Or are we going to have to get a new dishwasher in order for this to happen?
And she's going to be like, wow, this guy's so romantic. Glad he said this before dessert. No, you can't. You have to like wait 10 months into a relationship and then realize
10 months?
Or
what?
however, you move in and then the like first month you're like, oh, she hasn't touched the dish this whole time. I guess that's something new.
You need to start laying down the law.
Laying down this is your Texas roots coming back of like Cosby had a point. You need to slap your bitch. I let my kids do whatever they want.
And play with donkeys and chickens for all I care. My husband's mowing the lawn and I'm going to California.
Because I sucked his dick. Yeah.
Ow.
Texas, y'all. Do you feel like you are still like a fish out of water, being like from California, living in Texas?
You know what? I think honestly, there's a great advantage to like living in a place, because Texas and California right now hate each other. I mean, if there could be two,
those are the states that are like fuck each other.
Fuck you. Mm-hmm. It's just like steers and queers and fruits and nuts. It's just.
And which one's Texas?
And you hear, like, it's funny because I have friends, like, just this weekend, I've heard about how, like, I couldn't even step foot in Texas, just the way they think and stuff. And I'm like, that mentality is exactly, like, what you were complaining about Texas being. That they couldn't stand, I wouldn't want to step foot in California, all of them. I'm like, that is the exact same mentality with different words. Like, you both want nothing to do with each other. Mm-hmm. So being from California, and it's not like I was born in California and moved when I was 4. It's like, no, I lived in California until 2008. Mm-hmm. I was 20 years old, So that being said, and then I moved to Arizona, and then now I live in Texas. There are plenty of times I've gotten into conversations with Texans that I'm like, that's dumb. And I'll tell you why. Because you're ignorant. You've never stepped foot out of this state. The farthest you've ever gone is Amarillo. Mm-hmm. And you want to base your opinion on...
And you say it like Amarillo.
Yeah. And so, but I do the same thing with Californians, too, that are just, like... Well, they just,
right.
I can't even stand, they talk about family and everything. What's wrong with wanting to not divorce?
Yeah.
I don't understand why that's such a pagan, or, it's just such a Christian.
They love their family. What the hell?
What? You mean you're going to, quote unquote, fight for your marriage? What?
We have no fault divorce.
What? Just leave him. Well, he really did. I kind of love him. And no, just leave him. Doesn't matter. If he looked at you the wrong way, you have a right, girl. You have a right. I think there's more
You have
to
a
it.
right to suck his dick or leave it.
Yes, you just don't have to do it. In fact, it doesn't even need to make sense. Just go. Just walk out.
Just leave.
Just leave. Just leave. No rhyme or reason.
Is that
You
what
go, girl.
Is that what you really did? You just left, Renee?
Just like, what are you talking? Well, didn't they have some kind of women's march out here or something? And I saw that some of those women, you know, and granted, it was probably cut and edited and everything like that, but I was just like, so what are they talking about? Why are they, you know, what?
Because women need equality still.
Because women need equality? Okay, well, no one's taking away abortion. They're just saying you're going to have to pay for it.
All right, I think we're about out of time. This was definitely a great podcast to do. Thank you once again, Renee, for coming out of the womb with me and celebrating a birthday and doing all the things that twins have done. It's been a real it's been a real thin slice of heaven. Obviously, guys, if you want to drop my sister a line, you could probably find her through my Facebook and whatnot. I'm sure she would like to hear how much better she is than me. So,
well, I don't know. I'm kind of worried that I'm going to get a lot of like flack from women. What?
You like Bill Cosby?
And you give head? I can't stand it. I can't stand it.
Yep, she's an anomaly, folks, and I don't even know how she became my sister either.
Because I listened to my brother. It was all about those long conversation about giving it up.
You guys listen to me 1 hour a day. She's listened for 35 years.
Okay. So everyone says no over here, but my brother says I should be giving it up more. I think I'm going to go with him. With his advice.
And Renee, Cosby, he ain't that bad.
Yeah, come on. We all watched him. Cosby Show.
Yeah.
And actually, we saw him at the fair.
Yep.
The Orange County Fair.
That's right.
So.
And he killed it.
And he did.
All right, guys, definitely follow me, of course, on This Comics Life, or you can go to this the D Stories on Twitter, or follow me on, wherever you find social media, or just write me an email at thiscomicslifepod@gmail.com. And, rate and review wherever you got this podcast if you found it mildly amusing, and write my sister, Renee Moseley, an email, or just not even, just a nice message, but not a creepy message, because she's taken. All right, guys. Tune in next week for a whole lot more. I don't know who's going to be the guest. And, thanks again, and peace out. This is, once again...
This comic